Hello everyone. RV Educational Institutions, Shivananda Sarma Memorial RV College, video lectures and ISR initiative. In connection to the same, I, Professor Divya N. of Department of Business Administration, has posted a video on the subject Business Research Methods, and the topic is Sampling and its Techniques. Kindly watch the video till the end, like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Following are the topics to be covered in the chapter, that is sample, its introduction and the definition, various terms relating to sample, then why is sampling important or what is the purpose of sampling, then the different steps or stages involved in selection of a sample from the population, next merits and demerits of sampling, at the end a very important topic, that is the different techniques or different sampling methods. Research is always conducted to reach a mass audience or mass research readers, wherein the purpose of the research or the outcome of the research must benefit most of the population. So, sampling is done to collect data from the entire population. When the population is very high, for example, if a particular person wants to conduct a research on what is the taste and preferences of perfume users in India, he cannot do the study for entire population of million people in India. So what he does is he will collect the information or data from few people whom he knows or whom he can access, who will be called as sample from the entire population. So, sampling can be defined as the process of selecting a number of individuals for a study in such a way that the individuals represent the large group from which they were selected. So, if the researcher has to conduct research about what are the different taste and preferences of perfume users in India, he can collect it from few of the people who uses perfume from India, not the entire population. So, how he is going to do that? That is sampling method. To see the breakdown, we can see that there is a target population. So outside this ring, the entire white screen is the universe. So universe is the source from which the researcher can get data from. So universe includes all possible elements or all possible individuals from whom the data can be collected for the entire research. Next up, we have target population. Target population refers to the population to which the researcher is addressing his research for, or target population are the people who are interested and who are going to be the readers of the particular research. Then we have study population. Study population is the population the researcher is considering for conducting the research for, or the population from which the researcher is going to choose his samples from. Up next, from the selected study population with the limitations of resource and time, the researcher can select only few elements or few people from whom he can collect the data from, who will be called as samples. So even if you want to take the example of Maggi as a product, if the company has to conduct a small research on the quality of their product Maggi, they cannot take the entire production or the n number of units that has been produced in a particular day, and they can't collect Maggi from all possible production destinations or production layout or the factory layout. Hence, in that example, the entire population or entire universe will be the n number of Maggis produced by the Nestle company. As not all the products produced by Nestle can be used for sampling or testing the quality, they will choose a target population. This target population, for say, there are Nestle's manufacturing units all over the country, so we could consider one in Punjab or one in Gujarat, whichever is convenient for the researcher. So he will choose a particular plant from which he can conduct the research about the quality of product. So that will be the target population. In the target population, that is the number of units produced in that particular manufacturing plant, it will be thousands of units. Not all the thousands of units can be destroyed or can be used for testing. So he'll have to take a study population. That is, he will have to take probably say one product or 2-3 products from each batch of production that happens. That will be your study population. So the number of units at the end the researcher considers out of the study population will be the sample. So the number of Maggi packets that is used by the researcher to check the quality will be the samples. After looking into the breakage of the entire universe to the sample, that is, from the entire universe, a person or the researcher can select the target audience. From the target audience, he can come down to the study population, or from target population he can come down to the study population. From study population he will select only few elements that will be called as samples. To define, a sample is a set of individuals or objects collected or selected from a statistical population by a defined procedure, that is, by a defined sampling method. So the elements of samples are also known as sample points, sampling units, or observations. So the number of packets that is being taken from each batch of production will be called as sample units. So depending upon the research and the data collected, the samples will be termed, or the elements of samples will be termed as sample points, sample units, or observations. To go with another definition, sample is a smaller but hopefully representative collection of units from a population used to determine truths about the population. So a sample must always be a representative of the entire population. So if we have to go with our example, the Maggi products or the Maggi units that is being considered for checking the quality will represent the quality of entire unit that has been produced by Nestle company. So we'll have to make sure that we collect n number or the necessary number of units of Maggi that will represent the quality of the overall production of Maggi by the Nestle company. Now let's learn few terminologies. First one is sampling frame. It refers to the list from which potential respondents or samples are drawn. So sampling frame is nothing but the source from which we can get the details about who probably can be our samples or who probably can be our respondents. Respondents are nothing but the people who are going to respond to our research queries. So this can be, for example, say if we consider the perfume users in India, probably we can collect data from the perfume company about its customers, where they will have a register maintained which gives us the details about who the customer is, what is the contact number, or what is the best way to contact him. The same way in the Maggi example, sampling frame will be the list of products produced by a particular factory in a particular batch. Other example may be a list of students in the college, that is the students register, or list of faculties in a particular college, or number of patients in a particular hospital will be taken from the register of the hospital. Then we can have telephone directory to use the contact or to see on number of people, etc. Next is sampling unit. Sampling unit is nothing but a one particular unit or one element of the samples that has been considered. A population, which can also be termed as the universe, is nothing but the entire elements from which the data can be collected for conduction of research. So entire elements in the population, or entire elements from which, or entire units from which the researcher can collect data, is known as population. To define it, a research population is generally a large collection of individuals or objects that is the main focus of a scientific query. It is also known as well-defined collection of individuals or objects. It can also be defined as including all people or items with the characteristics one wishes to understand or study. A study population is the subset of the population with the condition or characteristics of interest defined by the eligibility criteria. That is, from the entire population, the subset from which the researcher is able to draw or able to query about his research questions. A target population, a set of elements larger than or different from the population sampled and to which the researchers would like to generalize the study findings. Target population is nothing but the population to whom the researcher is presenting his research solution or research outcome. So they might be different from the study population or the sample population. So the next terminology is sampling design. It is a plan for obtaining a sample out of the given population. So what are the different methods a researcher can use to check on how well he can get the samples, or how well he can get the representatives out of the entire population. So there are two ways to obtain the samples: census survey and sample survey. Census survey talks about collection of data or considering the entire population or universe as samples. Sample survey talks about a way where a part of population or only few elements of the population is considered for the study. Sample size talks about the n number of observations or n number of elements or n number of items that has been selected from the entire population for the purpose of research, which is called as sample. So sample size is nothing but the number of samples that is being taken or that has been considered from the entire population for conducting of research. It is always denoted by the letter n. Following are the points that the researcher has to keep in mind while selecting the sample size. So if it is a student and is presenting a paper for academic purposes or for the university regulations, then the sample size may not be the entire population of the country or entire population of the student. His research may be limited to a particular class, or a sample size may be 50 or 100. The same way, if a particular person is doing his doctorate and is submitting his thesis, he can go with the sample size of 1000. So depending upon the target population and the research objectives, the researcher has to make sure the sample size is an optimum size, that is, neither the samples are too large nor too small. Then the sample size must be a representative of the entire population. That is, the samples which is being considered must be able to express all the views and perceptions or all the characteristics of the entire population. Third, the samples considered must be reliable. That is, it must meet parameters or interest of a research study. So samples are nothing but the representatives of the rest of the elements in population. So one must be able to consider, or one must be able to rely upon the samples, and he will have to assure himself that these are the units that is going to give information about the entire or the rest of the elements in the population. Merits of sampling. Firstly, it saves time. It reduces the cost of inquiry that is necessary to be conducted for the entire research population. It gives more reliable results as they represents the entire population. Then the more detailed information can be obtained. Lesser the people, more time can be spent on each person or each individual or element. It is convenient for administration. Lesser the people, then they can be taken care really well. Then it is the scientific method. It is the only method when investigation is causing the destruction of units examined. Demerits. Sampling requires the service of expert investigators. That is, one must be knowing who are the people or individuals, or what are the elements in the entire population that would be act as the representatives of the population. So they need expert investigators, or they need experienced people to select the samples. Next, if the survey is not properly planned, we may get misleading results. Sampling requires better supervision, more sophisticated techniques for planning and execution. If the sample is not adequate, it may not indicate true characteristics of the population that will lead to not a very good outcome of the research conducted. So let's discuss about the purpose of sampling or importance of sampling. First point talks about the economy. So it is nothing but when the entire population must be studied, then it is going to be very expensive and it is going to consume a lot of resources. So hence sampling can be considered where only the few representatives of the entire population will be considered for conducting of researches or getting the research data. Next, it talks about the timeliness. So timeliness is nothing but a sample may provide you with needed information quickly. So the researcher is going to consider the samples who can be accessed easily. So the entire population may not be accessed easily. To get the timely information, that is, which can be accessed easily, samples must be considered. Next point talks about the large size of many population. If a particular researcher wants to conduct research about the hair color of Indian population, it is very much impossible for him to do that with the limited resources he might be having. So in such cases where the population to be considered or population from which the data to be collected is very large, sampling will help him to get the representatives alone, and it reduces the time and money. Next point talks about inaccessibility of some of the population. So this point talks about the elements of the population that cannot be accessed. So with the same example of saying a research about or conducting a research about the hair color of Indians. So there are many people who are out of the reach of the researcher. So those cannot be those cannot be involved in the research process. So sampling helps us to get the representatives of that people as well. Next point, destructiveness of the observation. Sometimes the very act of observing the desired characteristic of a unit of population destroys it for the intended. So we were considering the Maggie example earlier. So the products that is taken as samples for testing of the quality obviously will be destructed, because there will be many chemicals that will be used, and there will be the detection or the breakdown of the entire product to undergo the various tests that would give out the quality of the product. So entire units that has been produced by the Nestle company cannot be used. So sampling will help in such destructive methods. Last point talks about the accuracy. So accuracy is nothing but when there is a comparison again done between the census survey and sample survey. So in census survey, you don't know who the respondent is. You don't know, are you going to get the right information from the entire population. So it is always better to select the representatives who are knowledgeable, or who are going to be able to give right information, the data about the data the researcher requires. To break down the entire sampling method, the researcher starts with the theoretical population, or the entire universe, or the target population to whom the research is being conducted. Then he come down to the study population, that is the population from which he can access his samples. Then he takes the sampling frame. So sampling frame is nothing but the source from which he can get details about the representatives or the samples to be, and how easily he can access them. At last, from the sampling frame, he's going to select the samples and make them included or consider them for conducting of the research, who will be called as the sample or sampling units. To go in detail, the different steps involved in sampling is stage 1 or step 1, target population must be defined. Step 2, sampling frame must be determined. Step 3, appropriate sampling technique must be selected. Step 4, sample size must be determined. Step 5, sampling process must be executed. Up next, it's the sampling bias. It is nothing but a tendency to favor the selection of units that have particular characteristics. That is a tendency of the researcher to eliminate or not to consider few of the elements of the population. He gets a chance, or he uses his being the researcher personality to select his samples, wherein he might not get the entire population representatives. He is going to use only the samples he knows, which is going to favor his research outcomes. So up next we have sampling error. It refers to the inaccuracy or errors in process of collection, analysis and interpretation of sampling data. So it refers to the errors or mistakes, or the way the inaccurate ways the sampling has been collected, analyzed and interpreted. So there are two types of sampling errors: systematic, which is also called as biased or non-sampling errors; unsystematic, which is also called as unbiased or sampling errors. So systematic errors talks about the errors that is arise due to the faulty procedures and techniques in making a sample and lack of experience in a research. That is, the default or errors arise due to the negligence or lack of experience of a researcher. Up next, the unsystematic error is arised due to the limitations of the sampling process. So it talks about the limitations of resources of a researcher, which will not let him to consider the right amount of sampling that is required for conduction of research. Thank you for watching. Kindly check out for the part B video wherein I would be teaching about the different methods of sampling or various sampling techniques. Thank you once again.